A thread by Brian the Great. New column alert. Was Rosenstein running the Mueller special counsel and the Durham investigations at the same time? This one ought to get people talking. Who appointed Durham to begin investigating SpyGate leaks back in April of 2017? Link in the thread. Was Rosenstein running the Mueller special counsel and the SpyGate investigation? From uncoverdc.com, Brian Cates. Remember, I'm the guy who was saying back in 2018 that everything with Rosenstein was not what it seemed. Let me list the columns I did about him. By Brian Cates, The Epoch Times, Rod Rosenstein, the man with the most thankless job in America, from October of 2018. Brian Cates wrote from the Epoch Times, the circus of confusion and chaos that hangs around Rosenstein is deliberate. Also from October of 2018, the Epoch Times, Brian Cates, is Rosenstein's endgame approaching? Well, isn't this fascinating? I think they broke the thread. Give me a second, guys. While few people were questioning what McCabe and other SpyGate plotters were leaking to the media about Rosenstein, I was a very loud voice pointing out the reasons behind the leaking. From the epochtimes.com, McCabe tries to play bystander, pin it all on Rosenstein. I was one of the few voices in the conservative new media insisting there were secret investigations going on that the usual DC leak culture had not been able to penetrate. Turns out I was right. From Brian Cates at the Epoch Times, how the DC leak culture was made powerless to thwart SpyGate investigations. I know I caused a few people to blow a gasket with this one in May of 2019. From the epochtimes.com, Brian Cates wrote, Rod Rosenstein, hero. And my last column at Epoch, in which Rosenstein played a central role, May 15th, 2019. Rosenstein left the DOJ after getting a huge farewell send-off in the main hall. Brian Cates in the Epoch Times. As Rosenstein departs, the battlefield is now ready. And now here we are, a year and a half after I last wrote a column about Rod J. Rosenstein. All the declassifications since October revealed Durham was investigating SpyGate leaks by April of 2019, and his name did not publicly surface. April of 2017. This is supposed to say April of 2017. And his name did not publicly surface in connection with SpyGate until January of 2019. I make the compelling case in this new column that it was not Attorney General Jeff Sessions who appointed Durham to begin running what was in effect a de facto special counsel's office of almost the entire previous administration of Barack Obama. It was this guy. For those of you just listening, it's a picture of Rod Rosenstein. They kept what Rosenstein did through Durham a secret for more than 3.5 years. Now, just before Barr departed to make room for a new acting Attorney General Rosen, it was declassified through the proper channels when Durham actually started up. And it wasn't May 2019, as most media tell you. Corporate media and even the conservative media assume all the U.S. attorneys thus far publicly revealed to have been doing SpyGate-related investigations were all working independently from each other, not sharing info. Huber, Bash, Jensen, Durham, none were working together. The only one you have been told hit pay dirt was Jensen, because Barr sent him to the D.C. U.S. Attorney's Office to investigate the Flynn case as a special investigator on behalf of the DOJ. Jensen later also went to FBI headquarters and dug through the files there also. Well, it was important to end the Flynn case. That's why Jensen took the exculpatory documents he found both inside the Mueller special counsel's office's files and inside the FBI's HQ files and handed them off to Sidney Powell. That very quickly blew up the Flynn case. But now, brace yourselves, because I don't believe that in his digging through the Mueller special counsel's office files and in his digging through the FBI headquarters files, Jensen was limited to only seeing Flynn case files. He had no such limitations. Jensen was actually an investigator for John Durham. In digging through Mueller's special counsel's office files and through the FBI headquarters files, he was accessing all of the Mueller SCO's casework and all of the Crossfire Hurricane team's casework. What did the latest D-Class last week reveal? Anyone remember? The latest D-Class through the official channels that never leaked. It was declassified by the Director of National Intelligence, John Ratcliffe, and then publicly released so the media and the Democrats and all the SpyGate plotters it was this. It never leaked in 4 years that there were other ongoing federal counterintelligence investigations into supposed Trump-Russia collusion before Crossfire Hurricane launched on July 31st, 2016. 4 freaking years. 4 years. This never leaked. Nobody leaked it. In fact, stop for a moment and look back at all the declassifications since early October. This stuff is explosive. Comey was briefing Obama on July 28, 2016 about the fake Trump-Russia collusion smear that the Clinton campaign had launched. Comey and Strzok also knew? At the same time that D-Class was being made, it was also revealed in a Flynn case court filing made by Sidney Powell when Durham actually started up investigating SpyGate, and it was April of 2017. Strzok gives Page the bad news in April of 2017. By May, just 1 month later, Strzok is so nervous about having been called in for an interview with Durham that he's telling her he's trying to delay having to do it. These text messages were originally released with Durham's name redacted. Long ago, I saw the redacted versions when they were first released. The first batch of Strzok Page texts were made public in December of 2017. The entire time, a special counsel had already been set up to investigate the SpyGate scandal and dig in to how the Russiagate hoax was carried out. They hid this from the corporate media and the Democrats for almost 3 years. And the Mueller special counsel's office played a big role in hiding Durham. And now they've publicly unveiled that Durham has been running a special counsel's office. They still haven't admitted yet that Huber, Bash, Jensen, and others were investigating for Durham and handing off to him what their investigations turned up. That will happen eventually. Jensen was not limited to only digging through the Mueller special counsel's office's files and the FBI headquarters files for Flynn case files. Everything the Mueller SCO was working on, every case the FBI Crossfire Hurricane team worked on, Jensen had access to it. Jensen found the files about the other Trump-Russia investigations that they started before Crossfire Hurricane. He gave them to Durham. Durham investigated these other, up until now, never disclosed, super duper secret, never leaked federal Trump-Russia investigations. Want to bet some of these other Trump-Russia counterintelligence investigations Strzok is talking about began in 2015? Now, look at the declassification again. What does DNI John Ratcliffe declassifying this text and giving it to Grassley and John's Senate committee tell you? What does it mean that none of this explosive stuff that's been declassified and released to Congress and the public since October of this year, 2020, never leaked in 4 years? Allow me to play Captain Obvious. DNI Ratcliffe declassifying this now about when Durham actually began his SpyGate investigations, which directly points at who it was who tapped Durham for the job, and about super secret counterintelligence Trump-Russia investigations that never leaked means, and sit down for this next tweet, it means publicly releasing this explosive, never leaked information now will not interfere with Durham's investigation. It's okay to release it now. It's not going to blow anything open or tip off the media and Democrats so that they can try to sabotage the investigation. I close this latest explosive Uncover DC column by asking the biggest question that these recent declassifications raise. Why didn't anybody leak any of this stuff for the past 4 years? Look at all the professional leakers pictured below here. At any time over the past 4 years, Comey, Brennan, Strzok, Clinton, Obama, Biden. We're talking major leakers here, people who have a bevy of corporate media stenographers at their instant disposal. Never leaked any of this, even as a defensive leak to try to get out ahead. If you surface skim, you miss the real story. 90% of even the conservative new media didn't catch or talk about any of the things I'm telling you in this thread. Why is that? They are captive to set in stone narratives. They will not change at this point. Cognitive rigidity. And the evidence points to this. The entire time Rosenstein was running the Mueller special counsel's office, the very public investigation the corporate news media, Democrats, hell, everybody was obsessed with, he was also running the Durham clandestine special counsel's office. And nobody leaked it. Nobody. And because most of our own conservative new media is captive to set in stone narratives about Sessions, Rosenstein, and Durham, they quickly passed over bars revealing that the clandestine Durham special counsel's office just became an official special counsel's office. Everybody quickly moved on. Great. Even now that he's out in plain sight as running a new special counsel's office, expanding and changing team members as the prosecutions get ready to begin, hardly anybody is paying attention. How can you sabotage or blow up something you're not paying attention to? I myself can't wait to find out what these other long-hidden, super secret, never leaked federal counterintelligence Trump-Russia investigations were that Strzok was talking about. You guys know the D-classes about those are coming, right? Because they are. Remember what Devin Nunes has claimed for more than 3.5 years now? The Obama FBI was lying about when they began investigating Trump-Russia collusion. They lied about when they started it, and they didn't have a real intelligence predicate. No, the FBI didn't start their investigation of Trump-Russia collusion on July 31st, 2016, with the launch of Crossfire Hurricane based on George Papadopoulos talking with Alexander Downer in a UK wine room. That has always been a lie, and Durham is going to prove it. And you know what else they've been lying about? Not knowing the Trump-Russia collusion narrative was a smear launched by the Hillary Clinton campaign. Durham will prove that too. And that's not all. Durham will also prove, with the handoff he got from his investigators, John Bash and John Huber, that HRC was intimately involved in setting up the Trump-Russia collusion federal investigations at the FBI and CIA, which involved massive spying, unmasking of the Trump transition team. Hillary used all of her FBI, CIA, State Department flunkies to launch these federal counterintelligence investigations of fake Trump-Russia collusion that her own campaign had started using her media allies. Perkins Coie, Fusion GPS, Daniel Jones were running the media wing of this dirty trick campaign. So, be of good cheer, little flock. Not only is Trump getting the second term, all the corporate media and most of the conservative new media haven't been telling you the real story. They either can't or won't look at the new D classes and go back and look again at the early days. I can. That's why I know I'm right. And I can wait to be proven right. Merry Christmas. To support the works of Brian the Great's biggest fan, Brian Cates, donate any amount at paypal.com/paypalme/drawandstrike, venmo.com/Brian-Cates-14, and take a look at the Brian Cates Subscribe Star page. Link in the thread. Thanks for listening.
I will be the greatest president that God ever created.